Welcome back, football fans, to your favourite channel that takes you on exciting journeys through the history of legendary national teams and their unforgettable moments. If you're passionate about the beautiful game, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss an update, like this video and share it with your friends. Your support keeps us going and allows us to bring you even bigger and better football stories. Today, we focus on one of the most iconic and historically rich teams in world football, the French national team, famously known as Les Bleus, the Blues, named after their iconic blue kits. France is not just a national football team, it's a symbol of resilience, evolution, triumphs, heartbreaks, and golden moments that have etched their name in football history forever. The early days, 1900-1930, the origins of French football, trace back to the early 20th century. France played its first ever official international match in 1904 against Belgium, which ended in a thrilling 3-3 draw. That same year, the French Football Federation, FFF, was established, playing a vital role in developing the game domestically and internationally. France was also among the founding nations of FIFA in 1904, underlining its pioneering role in the sport. Throughout the 1920s, France took part in the Olympic Games 1920, 1924, 1928. Although their performances were modest, these tournaments helped shape the team's early identity and gave players valuable international experience. At that time, football was still evolving, and France's consistent presence marked them as one of the early global participants. The 1930 FIFA World Cup, a historic beginning. France was one of the 13 nations to compete in the inaugural FIFA World Cup held in Uruguay in 1930. Placed in Group 1, the French team made history by defeating Mexico 4-1 in their opening match, recording their first ever World Cup victory. However, losses against Argentina and Chile saw them eliminated in the group stage. Still, being part of that historic tournament cemented France's role as one of the game's pioneers. World Cups 1934 and 1938. Slow progress. In the 1934 World Cup in Italy, France was eliminated in the first round after a narrow 3-2 extra-time loss to Austria. Despite the early exit, signs of progress were evident with the emergence of talented players. The highlight came in 1938 when France hosted the World Cup. With the nation rallying behind them, hopes were high. Unfortunately, France was knocked out in the quarter-finals after a 3-1 defeat to reigning champions Italy. Although the dream ended there, hosting the World Cup was a historic milestone that showcased France's significance in global football. Key players of the early era: Lucien Laurent scored the first ever goal in World Cup history versus Mexico, 1930. Edmond Delfour, a key striker of the 1930s. Etienne Matler, a solid defender who embodied the fighting spirit of early French teams. This early era laid the foundations for what France would later become. While results were modest, their consistent participation and pioneering spirit established France as a national team determined to evolve and compete at the highest levels. Post-war struggles, 1945-1954. After World War II, football slowly returned to Europe, and France was eager to reclaim its place. However, the early 1950s proved challenging. Despite having talented players such as Roger Marché and Alphonse Arago, the team lacked consistency and tactical organization. In the 1954 FIFA World Cup in Switzerland, France showed flashes of potential. They narrowly lost to Yugoslavia, 1-0, but defeated Mexico, 3-2. Yet they failed to progress beyond the group stage, signaling the need for a stronger foundation. The Fontaine Miracle, 1958. A turning point came at the 1958 World Cup in Sweden. The French side stunned the world thanks to striker Just Fontaine, who scored an unbelievable 13 goals in a single tournament, a record that still stands today. France reached the semi-finals, where they fell to Brazil and a rising star named Pelé. However, they bounced back to thrash West Germany 6-3 in the third-place playoff, achieving their first ever podium finish at a World Cup. This golden generation gave France global recognition, with standout players like Just Fontaine, the record-holding top scorer of a single World Cup, Raymond Kopa, Real Madrid icon, and the first French Ballon d'Or winner, 1958, Roger Marché, a defensive leader who anchored the team. The lost decade, 1960-1974. Despite the high of 1958, France slipped into a long period of decline. They hosted the inaugural European Championship in 1960, reaching the semi-finals but losing an unforgettable match to Yugoslavia 5-4. After that, things went downhill, failing to qualify for the 1962 and 1970 World Cups and suffering a group stage exit in 1966. This era was marked by instability in coaching, weak infrastructure, and poor integration of emerging talent. However, during this time, France began building a youth system that would later bear fruit. Signs of revival, mid-1970s. By the mid-70s, new talents began to emerge. Michel Platini, soon to become the symbol of French football. Dominique Rocheteau, a dynamic forward with great scoring ability. Marius Trésor, a legendary defender and captain. In the 1978 World Cup in Argentina, France returned to the global stage after 12 years of absence. Although they exited in the group stage, their performances, particularly a narrow 2-1 loss to hosts Argentina, hinted at the rebirth of a team destined for greatness in the 1980s.
The Golden Generation, Platini's era, 1982 إلى 1986.
The 1980s marked the rise of France as a true powerhouse. At the 1982 World Cup in Spain, France, led by the legendary Michel Platini, reached the semi-finals in what became one of the greatest matches in World Cup history. They faced West Germany in a thrilling 3-3 draw, only to be eliminated in a heartbreaking penalty shootout. 2 years later, glory finally arrived. Hosting the 1984 European Championship, France dazzled the continent. Platini delivered a legendary performance, scoring 9 goals in just 5 matches, guiding Les Bleus to their first ever major trophy. This triumph put France firmly among Europe's elite. In the 1986 World Cup in Mexico, France once again reached the semi-finals, this time bowing out to Diego Maradona's Argentina. They went on to secure 3rd place by defeating Belgium, confirming their place as a world-class team. Decline and dark years, late 1980s, mid-1990s. Despite their success, the years that followed were grim. France shockingly failed to qualify for the 1990 and 1994 World Cups, and also suffered early elimination at Euro 1992. The national team seemed lost, plagued by administrative instability, poor integration of new talent, and the heavy expectations left behind by Platini's golden generation. Yet in the shadows of failure, the foundation for a new era was being built. Rising stars emerged. Didier Deschamps, a commanding leader in midfield. Laurent Blanc, a defensive rock. Lilian Thuram, a versatile and powerful defender. Emmanuel Petit, a dynamic midfielder with a strong shot. And above all, a gifted playmaker of Algerian descent appeared, Zinedine Zidane, destined to redefine French football. 1998 World Cup, glory on home soil. France hosted the World Cup for the second time in 1998, but this time destiny was on their side. With a balanced squad of experience and youth under coach Aimé Jacquet, the French marched through the tournament. They dominated their group, defeating South Africa, Saudi Arabia, and Denmark. In the knockout stages, they edged past Paraguay with a famous golden goal by Laurent Blanc, beat Italy in a tense penalty shootout, and overcame Croatia in the semi-final thanks to Lilian Thuram's 2 historic goals, the only goals he ever scored for France. The final at the Stade de France saw them face reigning champions Brazil, led by Ronaldo. In a performance for the ages, France triumphed 3-0, with 2 first-half headers from Zidane and a late strike by Emmanuel Petit. It was France's first ever World Cup title, a victory that united the nation in celebration. Zidane became a global icon, and the 1998 team secured its place as one of the greatest squads in football history. The golden start, Euro 2000 glory. France entered the new millennium on the highest of highs. Having won their first World Cup in 1998 on home soil, Les Bleus were brimming with confidence. They carried that momentum into Euro 2000 in Belgium and the Netherlands. With a squad stacked with talent, Zinedine Zidane, Thierry Henry, David Trezeguet, Patrick Vieira, Marcel Desailly, Didier Deschamps, and more, France dominated the tournament. Zidane was the heartbeat of the team, dazzling with his creativity and vision. France battled their way to the final, where they faced Italy in a tense clash. Italy led 1-0 until the very last moments, but Sylvain Wiltord equalised in stoppage time. Then, in extra time, David Trezeguet scored the iconic golden goal, sealing a 2-1 victory and France's second European Championship. At that moment, France stood as the undisputed kings of world football. World Cup champions, 1998, and European champions, 2000. Many considered them the best team in the world, The shocking collapse, World Cup 2002. But football has a way of humbling even the greatest. In the 2002 World Cup in South Korea and Japan, France entered as favourites. Their squad was still stacked. Zidane, Henry, Trezeguet, Thuram, Makelele, Vieira. Yet, disaster struck. Zidane was injured before the tournament, and the team never found its rhythm. In the opening match, France suffered a shocking 1-0 defeat to Senegal, a result that sent shockwaves through the football world. They followed it with a goalless draw against Uruguay and another 2-0 loss to Denmark. The reigning champions exited the tournament without scoring a single goal, an unthinkable failure that marked one of the darkest chapters in French football. Euro 2004, another setback. France tried to bounce back at Euro 2004 in Portugal. Zidane inspired a comeback win against England in the group stage, scoring twice in injury time. But in the quarter-finals, the French were stunned by an unfancied Greek team, who went on to win the tournament. This defeat, coupled with the humiliation of 2002, suggested that France's golden era was fading. Yet fate had one more twist in store. Zidane's last dance, World Cup 2006. By 2006, expectations around France were modest. Zidane, Makelele and Thuram had even come out of retirement to help the team. The group stage was shaky. 2 draws and 1 win barely took France to the knockouts. But once there, something magical happened. In the round of 16, Zidane inspired France to a 3-1 win over Spain. In the quarter-final, Thierry Henry scored the decisive goal against Brazil, eliminating the defending champions. Zidane's elegance shone again in the semi-final against Portugal, where he converted a penalty to send France into the final. The final against Italy was unforgettable. Zidane gave France the lead with a Panenka penalty, but Marco Materazzi equalised. The game went to extra time, and then came the infamous moment. Zidane headbutted Materazzi after an altercation, earning a red card in his final professional match. The match ended 1-1, and Italy won on penalties. For France, it was heartbreak. But Zidane's brilliance throughout the tournament ensured his place among the greatest ever players. The Dark Era, 2008 to 2010. After Zidane's retirement, France struggled. At Euro 2008, they were eliminated in the group stage after losing to the Netherlands and Italy. The 2010 World Cup in South Africa was even worse. A squad in turmoil, clashes between players and coach Raymond Domenech, and the infamous player strike after Nicolas Anelka's expulsion made global headlines. France exited in disgrace at the group stage. This was a low point. The team was fractured, the reputation tarnished, and fans disillusioned. But as history shows, France always finds a way to rise again. Rebuilding, the rise of a new generation, 2012-2016. With Laurent Blanc and later Didier Deschamps, captain of the 1998 team, as coach, France began to rebuild. At Euro 2012, they reached the quarter-finals before losing to Spain. The signs of progress were there. By the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, a new generation was emerging. Karim Benzema, Paul Pogba, Antoine Griezmann, Raphael Varane, Hugo Lloris were all coming into their prime. France played attacking football, reached the quarter-finals, and narrowly lost 1-0 to eventual champions Germany. At Euro 2016, hosted in France, expectations were high. Griezmann shone as the tournament's top scorer, leading France to the final. The Stade de France was ready for another party, but Portugal stunned the hosts with an extra-time winner from Eder. It was heartbreak again, but this time it felt different. France were back among the elite.
World Cup 2018 دي Mbappé era.
2 years later, in Russia, France fulfilled their potential. Didier Deschamps, now coach, had moulded a team full of balance, discipline and talent. The squad was a perfect mix. Veterans like Hugo Lloris, Olivier Giroud, Blaise Matuidi, world-class stars like Antoine Griezmann, Paul Pogba, and N'Golo Kante, young prodigy Kylian Mbappé, just 19 years old. France topped their group, then defeated Argentina 4-3 in a thrilling round of 16 match, with Mbappé scoring twice and announcing himself on the world stage. They beat Uruguay in the quarter-finals, then outclassed Belgium in the semi-final with a tactical masterclass. The final against Croatia was a spectacle. France won 4-2 with goals from Griezmann, Pogba, Mbappé and an own goal. Mbappé became the second teenager after Pelé to score in a World Cup final. France were world champions again, exactly 20 years after 1998. Deschamps joined a rare club of people who won the World Cup both as a player and a coach. Euro 2020, played in 2021, a setback. France entered Euro 2020 as favourites. Their group was the group of death, with Germany, Portugal and Hungary, but they advanced. In the round of 16, however, disaster struck. Despite leading 3-1 against Switzerland, France conceded twice late on. The match went to penalties, and Kylian Mbappé missed the decisive spot kick. It was a shocking exit, and a reminder that even the strongest teams can fall.
وورلد كاب 2022 امبابي vs ميسي.
France arrived in Qatar with many injuries, Pogba, Kante, Benzema, but still performed brilliantly. Mbappé led the charge, scoring freely as France reached another final. The final against Argentina was one of the greatest in World Cup history. Argentina led 2-0, but Mbappé scored twice in 2 minutes to level the match. In extra time, Messi restored Argentina's lead, only for Mbappé to complete a hat-trick, the first in a World Cup final since 1966. But in the penalty shootout, Argentina triumphed. France had to settle for second place, but Mbappé's heroics confirmed his status as one of the world's greatest players. The legacy of modern France. From the highs of 1998 and 2018 to the lows of 2002 and 2010, the French national team has shown resilience, evolution, and an uncanny ability to produce world-class talent across generations. Key modern legends include Zinedine Zidane, the symbol of 1998 and 2006. Thierry Henry, record goalscorer for many years. Hugo Lloris, record appearances and captain of 2018. Paul Pogba and N'Golo Kante, midfield maestros. Antoine Griezmann, big game player and consistent star. Kylian Mbappé, the future, already a global icon. France today remains one of the most powerful and consistent national teams in world football. With Mbappé leading the new generation and a constant supply of talent, the story of Les Bleus is far from over,